going on, everybody? Sean Daniel here with GuitarControl.com, and today we are going to cover the classic and awesome ZZ Top riff, Sharp Dressed Man, which is so good we're going to pretend like the music video never actually happened. But before you do that, make sure you click the link to get the tab for this so you can follow along, and we're going to talk about some different techniques that Billy Gibbons, who's just an awesome player, used when he kind of plays this riff in this song, right? So the intro is great, and we're going to do it all in the C minor pentatonic shape right here. So if you don't know that, it's the 8th fret on the E string. This is 8-11, 8-10, 8-10, 8-10, 8-11, 8-11, right? Now it starts off with kind of like a power chord, which is just 8E, 10A, and 10D. And this is going to be that. You're going to get, so we've got 3 strings going on right here. We're going to get the A and D string first, together, and then the C, the root note, the 8th fret, by itself. Okay, so that's going to be the whole first part, and it's going to be the riff that repeats a lot throughout. Now, if you notice, he actually uses his thumb for the low E string. But I've never really got down with that. So if you want to do that, if you want to play with your thumb, go for it. That's going to be the most accurate way to do it. We're just going to do it kind of with our fingers, right? So again, after that first kind of power chord, and that only happens the first time at the very beginning of the song, he jumps into these blues double stops or power chords, kind of taken from this shape, this pentatonic shape, right? So you can use your ring finger to bar them if you want. You can use your ring finger and your pinky. You can use your pinky. Whatever you want to do, as long as you can get 2 of these strings down at the same time. And we're going to get the 10th fret on the D and G string, right? So, okay. I'm going to use my ring finger most of the time here. And then I'm going to jump to the root note, which is the C, pointer finger, 8E. So, and then after the first time, we're going to do this right here. So this is going to be the same kind of double stop, but now we're on the 8th fret, 8D and 8G. So 10th fret, root, D and G on the 8th fret. So you can kind of see that your wrist is going to be really important in kind of moving the angle of your hand around to kind of get that tone, right? To get both of these strings to ring. And they're not sustained either. It's not like they're kind of really choked right away. And then after we get the 8th fret, D and G string, your ring finger is going to kind of come down on the 10th fret of the D string. So if we think of the melody of this riff, it's kind of like this, which is super simple, but we're kind of beefing it up with these power chords and double stops. So we've got, that's going to be the next part, okay? So it's going to be kind of almost like a circular motion between these 3 spots on the fretboard. So you really notice your wrist kind of moving to kind of get the most efficient way in here. So again, after the first part, we're going to get 2 more of the root note. So we've got 2 on the C, 8E. And then we just go back to these double stops, the 10th fret to the 8th fret. 1 more root. And then we've got the 10th fret on the D string, which is really just an octave. It's a C and a higher C, okay? So again. And that last one has a little vibrato on it. Okay? So, again, really slow, the whole thing. From the beginning, we'll add the first power chord to it. And then we're going to travel into this little riff lick up here. Now, there's a couple different ways to play this. You can play this in power chords, but we're going to the G on the low E string, which is the 3rd fret. And you can do this. Just kind of keep it straight power chords, where we're just going from 1 to 3, a B flat to an F, or a C, B flat to an F. That's fine. I think the way he plays it, he's actually kind of doing it in an open position. So he's going like a, which is kind of like a C shape, right? But as we talked about before, this is minor, so we don't want the major third in the C. Your middle finger right there is that major third. We don't want it, so you can make a C shape, but just make sure we don't hear this E note. Now, the reason I think this is what he's playing is because you can kind of hear the difference between getting this B, the first fret on the B string, and the open G, and the difference between that and a power chord. Again, it's essentially the same thing, but that's got a little more action to it because of that open string. Whatever, you know, you can play it either way you want, whatever's easier for you. I'm not going to be mad at you, whichever one you choose to do. But either way, it's 3 on E, 1A, 3A. And if you're going to do it in the open position, use your ring finger. If you're going to do it in power chord position, slide into it. Doesn't really matter. Again, I think I would challenge yourself to kind of get this because it's a little more, I feel like the tone is a little more of like a ZZ Top thing, a Billy Gibbons thing, right? So again, we've got this riff that starts down here. And then you go right back into it, right? So the tough thing about this is if you're doing it solo, I think there's kind of like 2 guitars in the album version. If you're doing this solo, from here, it's a pretty quick thing. But, you know, you can do it. It's just practice. That's why you might want to do the power chord because you're a little closer where you have to get back. Because the second time you do it, you don't start in that power chord. You go right to the double stop. All right? So basically, that just kind of repeats on a loop over and over again, okay? Until we finally get to the verses, which is going to be the same thing in the second part of that intro riff. And we'll do this in power chord form, but you can do it with the open chord too. But we're just going to start on 3E to 1A to that power chord on 3A, which is the C power chord, a C, a G, and another C. So 3, 5, 5, A, D, G. Again, this is a power chord, so it's not major or minor, but we're thinking in minor pentatonic. So we've got G, B flat, C. That happens twice. And then we're going to take this shape, move it down a step. So it's going to be a pick, a slide, and then another pick. And I think that second pick is an upstroke. So down, slide, up. And then this one you can kind of just roll this chord up, right? So if I'm rooted on the first fret of the A string, I've got it right here, and then I just roll my hand up. So from the C to the B flat, to an F, and then you go back here. To the B flat, to the F. And then when it gets to kind of like the pre-chorus, I guess, it's just F to G, 1 to 3. And then do the same thing down a string. And then it's the, 'cause every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed man. Right? Now, the advice of this song is right on. You know, every girl is crazy about a sharp-dressed man. However, in my experience, I have a friend who has like a grizzly huge beard, and I kind of feel like even though dressing sharply helps your game, having a giant beard decreases your game in most cases. So I think if you have a ZZ Top-like beard and you're dressed sharply, that kind of puts you back to even. But anyways, this is my own personal experience. Could be wrong about that. Again, just my 2 cents. So after we do this kind of thing where we go from the B flat to the C, it's about a sharp-dressed man. We got this really cool, quick power chord thing where we got 6A up to 6E down to the C. And that's going to start the whole cycle over again. So basically that's the whole thing. We're kind of just going in kind of a circular pattern throughout the fretboard. So it's a really great song to kind of learn getting to different frets and just kind of, you know, working those power chords in a very cool way. So definitely, if you have any questions, let me know. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button. Make sure you grab those tabs. And if you have any, like I said, suggestions or requests, hit me up in the comments. Until next time.